There comes a moment when staying the same hurts more than finally changing. You can feel it. You've outgrown the older version of yourself, yet the thought of letting it fade away still scares you. All of us carry pieces of who we used to be, habits, wounds, identities that no longer match the life we're trying to build. We hold on out of fear. But the truth is simple and harsh. You cannot create a new life while protecting the version of yourself that keeps you trapped. Stoic philosophy reminds us that real transformation begins in solitude, not in the noise around us. When you step away from distractions, you finally hear the truth your heart has whispered for years. You were meant to rise, yet before you rise, something inside you must fall. In those quiet moments, you face what's broken, decide who you want to become, and reclaim authorship over your life. This video will walk you through the truths that help you let the old version of yourself die so the real you can finally come forward. 1. Solitude reveals who you truly are. You cannot rebuild until you face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's the space where truth becomes impossible to ignore. When the noise fades, you're left with your thoughts, habits, fears, and unfiltered reality. This is why so many people fear being alone. Solitude forces you to confront everything you've tried to bury under relationships, distractions, and busyness. The Stoics saw solitude as a mirror, one that shows your life with painful clarity. Without that clarity, transformation is impossible. Most people don't realize how much of their identity is shaped by noise rather than intention. You behave the way others expect. You believe things simply because you were taught to. You hold on to habits not because they help you, but because they feel familiar. Surrounded by people, you perform a version of yourself that fits the room. Alone, the performance ends, and your real self steps forward. In solitude, the lies you tell yourself lose their power. The lie that you don't have time to change. The lie that you're not ready. The lie that things will improve on their own. When you're alone with your thoughts, you can't escape your patterns. You see life as it truly is, not as you wish it was. And that uncomfortable truth is the start of freedom. Solitude exposes the habits quietly limiting your potential. It shows how often you choose comfort over responsibility. It reveals emotional triggers you still haven't mastered. It highlights the relationships that drain your peace and the dreams you abandoned out of fear. Most importantly, it shows the version of you that doesn't belong in the future you're trying to build. The Stoics taught that you cannot change a life you refuse to examine. Solitude demands that examination. You cannot evolve while avoiding your own reflection. Clarity is painful, but pain is information. It reveals what needs healing, what needs changing, and what must finally be released. Alone, you take accountability in a way the world never requires. And once the truth becomes clear, you can no longer tolerate living below your potential. Solitude isn't where you lose yourself. It's where you meet yourself. And when you meet yourself honestly, you gain the power to rebuild with intention, discipline, and dignity. The destruction of the old you begins in the silence you've been avoiding, and in the truth that finally sets you free. 2. You must eliminate your old patterns. Nothing new can grow on top of behaviors that are slowly destroying you. You cannot rebuild your life while feeding the same habits that broke you. Most people try to add improvement, new routines, new goals, new affirmations, yet never remove the patterns that sabotage progress. Stoic philosophy teaches that destruction comes before creation. You must identify the behaviors that weaken your discipline, drain your energy, and keep you repeating the same painful cycles. Your old patterns aren't just habits, they're old identities. The way you react when stressed, the excuses you keep using, the distractions you choose, the people you tolerate, all of it is an extension of who you used to be. If you keep living by those reflexes, you keep the old you alive. And that old you is the reason you feel stuck, exhausted, and unsatisfied. To rebuild, you must be willing to let that version of yourself die. Most people fail to change because they negotiate with their old habits. They say they'll cut back, try harder, or start next week. But destruction requires precision, not negotiation. You cannot bargain with procrastination. You cannot reason with self-doubt. You cannot part-time your way out of a full-time problem. The Stoics believed in removing what is unnecessary with firm clarity. Without this step, transformation remains just a dream. Your patterns are powerful because they are comfortable, even when they hurt you. Comfort feels safer than the unknown, which is why the old you clings to routines that harm you. They protect your ego from discomfort. But true growth begins the moment you choose discomfort over repetition. If the life you want requires different habits, then the version of you resisting change cannot come along. There comes a point where holding on to old patterns hurts more than letting them die. When that moment arrives, you finally understand what living intentionally really means. You stop acting from impulse and start acting from purpose. You stop letting emotions dictate your behavior and begin choosing actions aligned with your future. This is where destroying the old you truly begins, not with a new look, but with dismantling the mindset that kept you stuck. You can't rebuild yourself on a foundation you refuse to tear down. Once you remove the patterns that don't serve you, you create space mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for a stronger, wiser, more disciplined version of yourself to emerge. This destruction isn't loss, it's liberation. 3. The new self requires discomfort. Growth begins where comfort ends. Most people want strength without struggle, confidence without risk, discipline without resistance, and transformation without sacrifice. But the Stoics understood one essential truth. The version of you that stays comfortable is the version of you that stays the same. Discomfort isn't punishment, it's the birthplace of your new identity. Your old self was built in comfort, which is why it cannot take you where you want to go. Comfort taught you to avoid challenges, choose the easy path, and protect your ego instead of expanding your capacity. Every time you choose the familiar, you reinforce the limits that have held you back. Discomfort, however, pushes you beyond those limits. It creates the tension between who you are and who you could be. Discomfort is proof that you're stepping into territory your old self was never brave enough to enter. It means your mind is learning, your character is strengthening, and your emotional resilience is growing. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, not to suffer, but to train their minds to stay steady under pressure. They understood that avoiding discomfort makes you fragile, while embracing it makes you unshakable. Every real transformation demands that you endure the resistance you once tried to avoid. You can't develop discipline without doing things you don't want to do. You can't build emotional strength without facing the emotions you fear. You can't gain clarity without moving through confusion. These uncomfortable moments shape the muscle of your new identity. Without them, change stays a wish instead of becoming real. If you only follow what feels comfortable, you'll repeat the life you already know. And if the life you know is not enough, comfort can no longer be your guide. Discomfort becomes your compass. It points toward the places where your potential is waiting. Once you grasp this truth, you stop avoiding discomfort and begin embracing the challenges that shape you. The newer version of you is created through difficulty, molded by pressure, and strengthened through intentional struggle. Your comfort zone is the shelter where the old you survives. But the zone of discomfort, this is where the upgraded you is created. Every time you choose difficulty over ease, you cast a vote for who you're becoming, not who you used to be. 4. Rebuilding depends on self-discipline, not motivation. Motivation rises and fades. Discipline remains. People treat motivation like a divine signal, waiting for the right moment or a spark of inspiration before they finally decide to change. But motivation is emotional. It is high when life feels uplifting and disappears the moment things get tough. If you rely on motivation to rebuild yourself, you will give up every time challenge shows up. The Stoics understood this deeply. That's why they built their lives upon discipline rather than emotion. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're trying to become. It's the choice to move forward even when you're exhausted, unsure, anxious, or entirely uninspired. Discipline isn't influenced by your mood. It is loyal only to the identity you're committed to building. Choosing discipline means choosing your long-term self over short-term feelings. That's the foundation behind every strong, steady, meaningful life. Motivation can give you a spark, but discipline lays the road. Motivation might carry you for a day, but discipline carries you for decades. When you depend on motivation, you become a servant to your emotional climate. When you depend on discipline, you become the creator of your reality. Stoics practiced consistent routines, writing, training, evaluating, not because they were excited every day, but because repetition strengthens the mind. If you only act when you're motivated, you will never build anything solid. Reconstruction needs consistency. Waking up early even when your body begs for more rest. Tackling the hard task first. Choosing concentration over distraction. Choosing growth instead of comfort. These small acts of discipline quietly shape a new identity. Eventually, you stop pushing yourself and start becoming the person who naturally does what must be done. Discipline isn't punishment, it's liberation. Liberation from procrastination, liberation from excuses, liberation from the unstable moods that once dictated your days. Each disciplined action becomes a vote for your future self, proof that you refuse to remain who you were. And with every vote, your belief in your evolving identity grows stronger. Motivation may excite you, but discipline reshapes you. Because rebuilding yourself demands steadiness, repetition, and unwavering consistency. The new you cannot rise if your efforts fall every time your emotions shift. But once discipline becomes your default, you finally gain the strength to reconstruct your life from the foundation up. 5. Protect your environment. You cannot become a new person while living in the same environment that shaped the old you. Your surroundings influence you far more than you realize. The people you speak to, the rooms you spend time in, the media you consume, the energy that fills your day, every piece of your environment molds your mindset. If your environment is filled with distractions, negativity, or disorder, it will silently pull you back into the habits you're trying to escape. Stoic thinkers understood that the quality of your surroundings directly impacts the quality of your thoughts. Your environment either supports your growth or supports your downfall. When rebuilding yourself, every detail matters. The voices you hear shape the beliefs you hold. The habits you witness become the habits you repeat. The emotional atmosphere around you eventually becomes the emotional atmosphere within you. If you're surrounded by people who accept less from themselves, it becomes harder to demand more from your own life. If your space is messy, your mind becomes messy too. Rebuilding requires that you set intentional boundaries with your surroundings. You need to control who gets access to your energy, what influences your mentality, and which environments align with the version of you you're working to become. This may mean stepping away from draining conversations, reducing digital clutter, or redesigning your physical space to reflect clarity and discipline. Your environment should make it easier, not harder, to become who you want to be. Some environments simply no longer match your future. There are spaces where your old habits thrive, where your old identity feels safe, and where the old you is always welcome. These spaces can sabotage your progress without you even noticing. Growth often requires stepping away, not because you're superior, but because you're evolving beyond the person you once were. And evolution requires distance. Your environment quietly shapes your identity. It influences your choices, your emotions, your discipline, and your dreams. When you protect it, you protect your future. When you ignore it, you fall back into the gravitational pull of your past. Creating a supportive environment isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. Align your surroundings with your goals and your behavior naturally shifts. You don't need to battle the old you if you stop living in the spaces that keep the old you alive. A clean room, an organized desk, a peaceful digital space, and a supportive circle can do more for your transformation than force or willpower alone. Guard your environment, and it will guard the person you're becoming. 6. You must outgrow people, without apology. Not everyone is meant to accompany you into the next chapter of your life. There comes a moment when you realize some people were only meant to walk with you for a certain distance, not because they are harmful, but because the version of you they knew no longer exists. You feel it in conversations that don't resonate anymore, in relationships that drain you instead of strengthening you, in the quiet realization that you've grown while they've remained unchanged. Stoic wisdom reminds us that life is constantly unfolding, and as you evolve, your circle must evolve too. Growth always creates distance, and distance often gets misunderstood. Some people will misinterpret your transformation. They will view your silence as judgment, your boundaries as rejection, or your ambition as pride. But the truth is simpler. You are moving beyond a dynamic that no longer aligns with your future. When you rise, the gravity of your old environment tries to pull you back, not out of cruelty, but out of familiarity. People hold on to the version of you they feel comfortable with, even when that version was built on fear, limitations, or survival patterns you've chosen to release. Outgrowing people is one of the most painful parts of becoming who you're meant to be, but also one of the most necessary. You'll feel guilt because you were conditioned to believe loyalty means staying unchanged. You'll feel fear because you wonder who will remain once you move forward. You'll feel resistance because comfort whispers that maybe staying where you are isn't so bad. But Stoic philosophy teaches that loyalty to your growth must come before loyalty to anyone else's expectations. You owe your old environment nothing. Not an apology, not a justification, not a detailed explanation for outgrowing it. Some people are attached to the version of you with limitations because those limitations made them feel secure. Your insecurities made them comfortable. Your predictability made their lives easier. The moment you expand, start saying no, start choosing yourself, or start raising your standards, they feel threatened. They preferred the version of you who stayed small, agreeable, and easy to understand, but that version is gone, and you cannot bring them back just to protect someone else's comfort. Outgrowing people doesn't mean you look down on them. It means you finally stop shrinking yourself to match them. You're not abandoning them. You're returning to who you were meant to become. You're not rejecting them. You're rejecting the old patterns that kept you stagnant. You're not acting different. You are evolving into the person you always had the potential to be. Growth demands elevation, and elevation requires letting go of weights you can no longer carry. If someone is meant for your future, they will grow with you instead of resenting your evolution. The moment you stop apologizing for outgrowing people is the moment your strength comes back. You stop explaining why disrespect is unacceptable. You stop defending your boundaries. You stop justifying your goals. You stop minimizing your ambition. Withdrawing from relationships that drain you lifts your self-respect. Walking away from people who cannot walk with you into the future clears your path. You no longer waste emotional energy convincing people to understand a journey they never intended to join. Outgrowing people isn't just emotional, it's mental, spiritual, and energetic. Sometimes the friend who always pushes you toward distraction must be left behind. The partner who fears your growth must be released. The family member who guilt-traps you into staying small must be met with firm boundaries. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Stoic wisdom reminds us to build our lives around discipline, virtue, and alignment. And few things disrupt alignment faster than relationships rooted in stagnation. People will say, "You've changed." Let them. Change is the point. Evolution is the point. Distance is the point. Your growth threatens those who refuse to grow themselves. They want the old you because the old you kept them comfortable. But comfort is not your mission. Growth is. You don't need anyone's approval to evolve. You don't need their permission to rise. The person you're becoming owes nothing to those who only valued you when you played small. You don't need to hate people to outgrow them. You can care for them and still let go. You can remember the good and still accept that the relationship has reached its limit. Stoic teachings remind us that life constantly changes, and clinging to what must pass brings suffering. Let go with grace. Move on with dignity, but never again shrink yourself to preserve someone else's comfort. Your future demands a different version of you, and that version will naturally attract different people. As you rise, you'll meet those who speak the language of growth. People who challenge you instead of draining you, who respect your boundaries instead of testing them, who celebrate your evolution instead of fearing it. The more you align with your future, the more your environment aligns with you. Outgrowing people is not a loss. It is preparation. Preparation for clearer thinking. Preparation for deeper self-respect. Preparation for relationships that match your identity. As painful as it may be, letting go becomes the most loving choice you can make for your future self. Stop apologizing for your evolution. The old you is gone, and the ones meant for your growth will meet you on the way up. Rebirth is not something that happens once. It is a daily choice. You don't transform in a single dramatic moment. True change is built through consistent decisions. Most people imagine transformation as a big breakthrough or sudden moment of clarity. In reality, it is slow, gradual, and created through the small choices you repeat every day. The Stoics taught that character is shaped by what you practice every single day, not by what you do once in a while. You don't wake up as a different person overnight. You become one through thousands of tiny choices that quietly sculpt your life. The old version of you doesn't vanish instantly, it fades as you stop feeding it. Each time you resist an old habit, you weaken the identity that once held you back. Every moment you choose discipline over impulse, you step deeper into the person you are becoming. Whenever you choose honesty over avoidance, courage over comfort, and clarity over confusion, you take part in your own rebirth. Transformation is simply choosing the new behavior more often than the old one until it becomes your nature. Rebirth is hard because it requires staying consistent long after the initial excitement disappears. Motivation might start the journey, but repetition is what sustains your evolution. There will be days when you feel strong and days when you feel tempted to fall back into old patterns. But Stoic philosophy teaches that your true character is revealed not when things are easy, but when they are difficult. Your rebirth becomes real on the days you show up, even when you're not ready. Your future self is being created quietly in the background of ordinary moments. It's built when you wake up early even though your mind begs for comfort. It's built when you choose to learn instead of mindlessly scrolling. It's built when you speak with integrity instead of pleasing people. It's built when you do the uncomfortable thing simply because it aligns with who you want to become. Transformation isn't dramatic, it's deliberate. And most of the work happens when no one is watching. You must stop waiting for the perfect moment to become the person you want to be. There is no perfect moment. There is only today. The Stoics emphasized urgency, not fear, but purpose. Marcus Aurelius said, "You could leave life right now. Let that guide what you do, say, and think." Rebirth becomes possible the moment you accept that life is unfolding now, and delaying your evolution only prolongs your suffering. Every day gives you a chance to decide who you are, not through promises, but through discipline, not through words, but through action, not through dreams, but through habits. When you consistently choose your future self, the transformation becomes irreversible. You stop trying to change, you simply begin living as the new you. Rebirth isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a practice you return to again and again. And as long as you keep choosing the higher version of yourself, even imperfectly, you are already ascending. The old version of you had to break so the new you could rise. Every hardship you've endured, every moment of solitude, every boundary you've set, every step into discomfort, all of it has been part of your rebirth. Transformation is never accidental. It is intentional, difficult, and deeply personal. The Stoics understood that growth requires releasing what no longer serves you, even when it hurts, even when it isolates you, and even when others don't understand. Rebuilding yourself isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. Your new life will require new routines, new environments, and new standards. It will require letting go of people who cannot grow with you. It will push you to face yourself with honesty, discipline, and courage. But every uncomfortable step is evidence that you are moving closer to your potential. You're not starting over, you're starting stronger. Right now, you have the power to choose differently, think differently, and act differently. The rebirth you're seeking is already taking shape inside you with every decision you make. Keep going. Your future self is waiting.